Alright, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Amanda here, and in today's video we are going to take all of these supplies, or some of these supplies, and we are going to turn them into a lovely gratitude or self-care jar. I will tell you about both variations and how they work. So this is a jar that I picked up from my local Dollar Tree, and these are just some supplies I have gathered from Michael's and Hobby Lobby, as you can plainly see here. So we've got some collage papers, we've got flowers and butterflies here of all sorts, a couple of frames which we may use some gesso on, we may leave as is because the sort of brown and blue theme is what we've got going on here. Alright, so we're going to take all of this now and turn it into a jar. I am going to talk you through a time-lapse version of me doing this so you can see all of the detail as I talk. Let's get into making ourselves a gratitude or self-care jar. Okay, so let's get everything cleared out of the way here. We are going to start with the Tim Holtz collage paper. I believe it's the botanical collage paper, and the Liquitex super heavy matte gel. So the matte gel is just in reference to the finish on the gel itself. It comes in matte, it can come in glossy. We don't need anything glossy because we're using it as the glue in this situation. You can also use Mod Podge or anything that you would decoupage collage paper or something like that together with. So I'm using the super heavy gel. I happen to like this brand, and it I know is going to stand up over time and keep all of my stuff in place. So it's basically just smearing it on with a paintbrush, as you can plainly see, and then smooshing the paper down onto the actual jar and making sure that everything is sort of fitting to the form. There are going to be some loose spots in it if you don't really cover it, but you can go over the top, you can only do it underneath, whatever works for you. It's basically just the glue, and we're going to cover most of this up anyway. I actually like the crinkles in the paper, which is why I don't mind that it's not 100% straight and even. I chose a curvy jar, and so that's just the way that it's going to work out in most cases. If you have a straight jar, then you can get it on there pretty straight and even, but that's not what I'm looking for here. I actually like the texture that the little creases create. So I'm just going over the top very, very lightly, and I am making sure that all of my pieces are stuck down and are not going to come loose from the jar. Now, this is a gratitude jar because it's Thanksgiving and everybody's a little thankful this time of year while I'm drying this. And so the inspiration behind this is to take a little slip of paper each and every day and put something you are grateful for in the jar. And at the end of the month, or however long that you choose to do it, you have a jar full of things that you were thankful for all month or however long. So the other version of this is you could use it as a self-care jar, and you can fill the jar up at the beginning of a month with little self-care type items, and each day you can reach into your jar, you can pull something out, and that can be the thing that you do for yourself that day. Now I'm using some super heavy Liquitex, I've lost the words now. Ugh. Gesso is the word. Super heavy gesso by Liquitex, just to go over some of the black in the botanical thing, just to mute it down a little bit. I'm going to dry that a little bit too, let it set, and I'm looking for ink pads at this point. The ones that I'm going to use are the Faded Jeans right here in the Distress Oxide, and the other one that I'm going to use is Broken China Distress Oxide as well. I've got 4 little minis that are going to pop into the screen as well that are optional blues that you could use as well, but I did not use any of them. And I'm also going to use my Distress Oxide in Vintage Photo for this as well. So yeah, if you don't want to use these jars as a self-care jar or as a gratitude jar or anything like that. They also work really, really well as just decorative jars around your office, around your house. You can decorate them to match your needs, and you can even use them to store things in, like your art supplies. So you could stick paintbrushes or stick daubers in here, or stick your pens and pencils in here, and you've got a really pretty container to do that with. So I'm just taking my dauber and I'm rubbing the vintage photo around. I'm trying to get the thing off of there so that I can put the new one on, so I can use the blue. And I'm just going around and just smushing blues and browns all over this thing. So when you get to a point where you're happy with the way that it looks, then you stop. You can use sprays here. You can use watercolors here. The gesso is going to protect the surface of the collage paper, and it's not going to cause it to run off or anything like that. So as long as you've covered it with a little layer of gesso, you can use clear or you can use white. The clear will allow all of the botanicals to show through. The white will mute out some of the botanicals. Then you can use whatever wet medium you want on the jar. So I'm just going back and forth a couple of times here with the two different blues and with the brown, smushing it all together, and I will get to a point where I'm happy in just a second with that. And then after that, it's really just embellishing the actual jar itself, which is the fun part, and that is where putting all the happy little flowers and butterflies and elements comes in. So I'm going to start with this piece of ribbon that just so happens to match my color scheme and just so happens to match what I'm going for in this particular jar. You can put whatever you want on here. I just didn't like the fact that the bottom wasn't quite covered by the collage paper and that the top wasn't quite covered by the collage paper. So yeah, I'm covering it with a cute little piece of ribbon which fits perfectly around the bottom. And then I'm going to do the same thing around the top, and I'm attaching those down with Fabri-Tac because these are burlappy type ribbons, and it's a good adhesive for that kind of thing. The top is a little bit more tricky because of the fact that the glass sort of caves inward directly under that lip, and so you have to really fit in there good and hold it in place for a second to make sure that it's going to stay where you want it, but it's not too fiddly, and I do like the way that it looks at the top up there as well. So I did decide to just play with it for the extra couple of minutes that it took. I will say that this project in total took me less than an hour. I've got it sped up 4 times here, but yeah, it took me about 50 minutes to put the actual jar together. So it's not a lengthy process as well. So this is just me fiddling with that, making sure that it's on straight and it looks decent. I'm sort of pleating it a little bit to help it fold around that curve. And then when I'm happy, it's time to move on to adding the embellishments on the front of it. I'm going to start with one of these 2 frames. I thought that one was a little bit too big for this jar. It could have actually worked. And I'm going to go with this one. And then I'm really just going to start embellishing. So this whole next process is just a matter of taste. It is a matter of trial and error. And yeah, you just get in here, throw your supplies out on the table, and then just put them on there in any way, shape, form you feel. And just go with it. So there's not a whole lot to say on this process anymore, so I'm just going to let you see the process that I sort of go through. You may want to use like some washi tape or something like that to hold your jar steady while you're trying to put things in place, because I didn't do that and my things keep falling off all over the place. But yeah, I'm going to let you watch this. I am attaching this metal butterfly, I will say, with the E6000. Any metal pieces, you're going to need something stronger than your Fabri-Tac or your hot glue if you want it to stay and you want it to last. So E6000 is my suggestion always for metal bits. Everything else I'm going to attach down with the Fabri-Tac, and that will hold and it will be fine. Okay. So I will see you back here at the end, because I forgot to turn the volume back on when I was telling you how beautiful the jar came out. And yeah, so it's really just me waving the jar at the camera at this point. So I will see you back here in just a second. So pretend this is me talking in real time, and ooh la la, look at this bad boy. It is our gratitude self-care jar, decorative jar, whatever you want to call it. Isn't it gorgeous? I so didn't turn the volume back on at all, and I'm just talking away like a crazy person, but I really do love it. I love how it came out. I love this blue and brown sort of theme. I like the little mothy butterflies on it. I like that it's dimensional. You could add like a little photo in that frame if you wanted to before you glue it down, obviously, or you can add a label like right over top of it that says gratitude, self-care, paint, brushes, whatever, pens, whatever you've got in there. So it's a really, really nice jar. I love how it came out. I am very, very happy with it. I kind of like this sort of flamboyant, gaudy, over the top floral kind of thing with my mixed media jars. And so yeah, you don't have to go this extra if you don't want to, but I actually happen to just love it because it's just so extra. It's just so me. But that is going to wrap it up for today's video. I wanted to thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Go down there and smash that little like button. Tell me if you're going to make one of these jars, if I have inspired you to do some mixed media yourself. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Now I just want to give a quick shout out and thank you to each and every one of my patrons. Without you, I would not be able to do this for a living. So thank you so much for your support. If you would like exclusive coloring pages, prints, creature cards, and all kinds of fun line work, then check out the Patreon link in the description box below.